Hello and welcome to Key to Travel, and I am your girl Key, and we are doing the 12 days of Christmas. I know y'all tired of hearing me say this. I think this is like day number 3 or something like that, you know. But anywho, welcome. And today, you know what your girl like to do. If you a buddy, you can tell me. We like to do story times, and today we're going to do a story time. This story time, actually, y'all, is going to help out some people that's traveling during the holiday time. So, yeah. So if you want to hear this story time, y'all sit back, relax, and let me tell you this story time. First, let me get my pleasantries out of here, y'all, so y'all can know what I'm talking about. If I look down at the paper, I'm looking down at my notes. If I happen to abruptly stop the video, it's because other things are going on around me. And let's go ahead and also knock out some other pleasures. So that's what made me want to tell this story. Okay, I booked this young lady some travels. And it was actually a group. It was a group of single mothers. And they all was flying out of the ATL. So the morning of the flight, well, let's back it up. Before the flight, they wanted me to send them information on all the things they might need for this vacation, because they were taking only a weekend away, a 3-day weekend. They single mothers, you know, they were just happy to get away at a good price. So they wanted me to send them paperwork on what they needed and all that. So I told them, of course, because they're going out of the country, they need a passport to make sure all the girls had a passport. Well, most of the mothers did not have passports. So I told them what they needed to do to expedite to get their passports. So they did that. And then I also went ahead and reserved their transportation from the airport, all that stuff. And one of the mothers, her in particular, was who the story time is about. She called me 2 days before to also ask if I can book excursions, because they asked for no excursions. They pretty much just wanted to get away and relax, because being a single mother, you know, there's a lot of things going on in their lives. So they just wanted to get away. Well, she contacted me 2 days and she was like, can you please find like one excursion, something, you know, so we can have some great pics for our gram. You know, we haven't been away in forever, but, you know, we just excited. So I was like, sure, you know, they decided to all I wanted to get them an all-inclusive so they could just relax. But they wanted to do a Airbnb, because they were like, you know, for cost purposes. And they also wanted to, you know, all cook and, you know, just socialize and not be bombarded with resort. So I was like, that's cool. I was like, but next time I'm going to do them a resort, because I think they needed that type of just sit back, relax, you know, type of atmosphere at a resort. But they wanted an Airbnb so they could just kind of like lay back, relax, and have at it. So needless to say, pretty much we went ahead and booked their travel. So I went ahead and found them an excursion, which was a boat excursion, which she was super excited about, and everything was everything. Now, they did have some in the group that was like, I really wish we would have did a resort, because, you know, we cooking and we doing all this and I just want to relax. But they all, you know, agreed to disagree. Let's say that. Well, the morning of the trip, 3 a.m. my time, 4 a.m. their time. So she had called, but I missed the call. So about 5, and I think their flight was for like 6:30, I think. So at 5, I woke up and I saw they called. So I called her back, and she was hysterically crying. And I was like, hey. And she just couldn't voice what was going on. So I was like, okay. Well, she wasn't the leader of the group that actually booked it. There was another young lady that actually booked the travels. And so, you know, I couldn't get word out of her, because she was like literally she couldn't speak at this point. So I called the lady, because I knew her number, because she had called me a couple of days before for the excursion. So I called the the person that was over the group. No one else had called me that morning, just her. So I called the lady in the group, and she answered, and I said, hey, I said, I just got a call from one of your young ladies, and she was crying hysterically, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. Have you talked to her? And she said, yes, I have. She said, we're trying to work with the ticket agents to see if there's something else we can do to get her on the flight. And I said, what you mean? And she said, there was a mishap, but let me call you right back because I'm actually sitting here right now talking to one of the agents. And I said, okay. And I left it like that. So I hung up the phone, but something told me to give the girl a call back. So I called her back, and when I called her back, she was hysterically crying, and she said she's actually standing there with a TSA agent to see if there was anything they can do. So, but of course there was nothing they can do. So she was just standing there, she was crying and trying to get them to help her. So in the midst of them trying to help her, which at this point I still know nothing about what they're trying to help her with, okay? Because no one has told me anything. So I checked like the airlines to see if the flight was delayed or something, and I was like, maybe it's having to deal with babysitting services. Maybe the person that was supposed to watch your kids is not. So I started looking up like services in Atlanta that can take a child right then and there, 24-hour services, stuff like that, to kind of have something ready for her if she would call back to let me know what the issue was. So I did that, and I just had it on standby. I didn't want to send it to her because, again, she hadn't verbally stated what was wrong. So I didn't want to, push my understanding on someone else. So I put that to the side to have that right then in case she called. And, I would have never thought in my wildest dreams what it was. So about 7, which the other ones had to be taken off by then, I still hadn't heard back. So I called the girl that was over the flight once I realized the flight is taking off. And I hadn't heard anything. I called, but no answer. To my avail, of course, they're on flight. So I said, well, maybe, everything worked out. She's good, because nobody ever called me back, right? Being a travel agent, I'm not saying they're supposed to call me back. I just thought somebody would have called me back, but it is what it is. So I go about my day. So about 12-ish, I got a text. And the text that I got was from the ladies arriving at their destination. And I was like, oh, great. So everybody's there, all is well. And she said, everybody except for the one young lady that you talked to. And she was like, and she made this whole excursion thing that none of us wants to do, but we're going to do it, and she's not here. And I said, oh, I thought she was at the airport. And she texted me back. She said, long story. And that was all. So again, I'm just going on with my day or whatnot. And something told me to give this girl a call. So I give her a call, and she answers the phone, and she's hysterically crying and all that. And by this time, it's half of the day it's gone. So I talked to her, and I'm like, hey. And she was like, hey. And I was like, are you not on a trip? Like, you were super excited about the trip. She was like, no, because my daughter wrote all over my passport. Her 3-year-old decided to use her passport as a coloring book. And because it was the face of a federal document, you can't use it to fly. So she colored on the passport so the lady could not get on the flight. So she was like, it just wasted time. And I was like, well, if you would have called me, I could have told you to go down to passport control to see if you could try to get another passport real quick, a replacement, something like that, so you can have hopped on another flight so you could have went. And she was like, I could have did that? And I was like, yeah. I was like, sometimes you have to make an appointment and, you know, it might take, you know, but if you tell them what actually happened, because you just got your passport recently, they could have expedited it situation so you can have got, you know, your passport and made it to your destination. I said, when did it happen? And she said it had to happen last night when I was packing, because she was sitting there and I thought she was coloring, and I didn't realize she was coloring on my passport. And when I went to pack everything and I put my passport in my purse, I never looked till I got to the airport. And when she got to the airport, the gate agent asked to see everybody's passport. And when she opened it, she was like, whoa, sorry, you can't fly. And so she was like, what do you mean? And when she showed her, when she looked at the passport and saw that it was defaced, there was nothing that she could do. So needless to say, she just chalked it up as a loss. Because at this point it was later in the day and they were actually going Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they were coming back on Sunday afternoon. So it's pretty much like 2 days. Because you can't count the last travel day. But so she was like, it was just going to be a waste. So she just decided, you know, just chalk it up as a loss. And then the next time she said, because she was one of the resort people anyway, she didn't want to do the Airbnb. So she was like, maybe next time, and it will be a resort where I can just relax, keep my shoes off, and enjoy it. So she was really, really hurt. But yeah, that right there, like, really, like, took the cake. And I kind of could have helped her, like, for negative, they would have said something, but they were trying to get people at the airport, which I understand, to kind of, like, navigate them to getting it taken care of in a way where somebody there could have helped them, but unfortunately they couldn't. And so, long story short, just watch your kids with your passport, y'all. Man. But yeah, that's that story time. And if you enjoy my story times, I know my energy is a little down right now, but I'm about to go get some coffee because I got to finish the rest of my day, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead, finish doing what I got to do today because it's Chroma time. And I'll come back with the 12th day of Christmas. Peace.